The Black Ops 6 trailer officially released yesterday, and there were a ton of secrets and Easter eggs hidden in the trailer. So don't worry if you didn't catch these Easter eggs, because I had to watch it 10 times to catch them all, and ironically, I can catch a cold on the first try, but I can't catch these Easter eggs until the 10th time. But anyways, make sure you stick around to the end, because there's a lot more Easter eggs in the second half of the trailer than there are in the first half. But let's break it down. Let's talk about everything that we found in the trailer. So our trailer starts off with a hammer and sickle breaking apart and collapsing. Now this is a symbol for the Soviet Union, so it kind of goes along with what's going on in the background. The audio for it is a speech by President Bush talking about the collapse of the Soviet Union. Now, along with this, we have some text saying 1991 and some clips of riots. Now, notably, you'll see right here on the right side of the screen that there is some text that momentarily pops up, but it is so blurred and out of focus that I have tried, and I cannot read any single word that says. Now, I couldn't find anything, but if you find something or you see a word or a sentence that jumps out at you in that text there, tell me in the comments down below. But anyways, our next clip we immediately jump to is a clip of riots. We then jump to a clip of the Iraqi army launching a pretty decent-sized missile out of a site. Now, we can't confirm what this missile is, but it is significantly larger than a standard anti-aircraft missile, so it might be a short-range missile to attack American troops. Not sure what's going on there, but we immediately jump cut to a very, very brief scene that is actually pretty interesting. We see someone is carving Sally #10 into a pistol. Now, notably, Sally 6 is the pistol we find in Warzone, Sally 8 was on the cover of Black Ops 1, and Sally 10 is what we're seeing in the actual trailer. So there is a story being developed to the Sally pistols, but we don't know anything about it yet. Now we cut back to a destroyed Iraqi camp and a bunch of burning oil fires in Iraq from the first Gulf War. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, Saddam Hussein and the Iraqi army, when they were leaving Kuwait, said, hey, if we can't have the oil, we're just gonna burn it all so that way you can't have it either. We then jump to a clip of Saddam Hussein kind of giving some type of speech, and on the right side here, we actually get some text. This time we can actually read. We see the words Iraqi, coalition, and weakened, talking about kind of the collapse of the Iraqi army following their failed invasion of Kuwait. Now, the coalition forces were the United States, the Brits, the Australians, everybody who kind of fought against the Iraqi army in the first Gulf War. Now, this next set of clips is pretty interesting because we see it jump cut between someone firing the M60 machine gun to a clip of some artillery firing and some tanks. But what actually happens is if you slow down this clip right here, you can see, and I'm going to adjust the brightness and the contrast here so you can see the symbol better. Now, the symbol we see is the Eye of Providence and a kind of weird symbol, but from what Call of Duty has told us, that this is actually the villain group Pantheon. Pantheon are the main villains of Black Ops 6. Most people probably didn't actually catch this symbol because it's actually only shown for an entire second in the 2-minute trailer, and it's very, very transparent, so you probably didn't catch it your first time around. And don't worry, I had to watch it in slow-mo at a quarter speed to catch this one specifically. And if you think this is cool, then make sure to like the video down below because it really helps me out. But we then jump to some airstrikes. We see President Bush again talking about how we're free from global conflicts and there's no other problems. And then we see the SecDef of the time kind of laughing in a boardroom. Kind of interesting, but considering that he's talking about, you know, no more global conflicts, and then immediately after we have some kind of laughter from a Secretary of Defense, kind of worrying there. But moving on, we then jump to a bunch of planes flying in formation, and then we cut to a clip of a statue of Saddam Hussein falling over, and it kind of mirrors and slows us down for a second. But then we jump over to some unknown building in DC. Now we know it's in DC because of some of the clips later on in the trailer, but there's a bunch of American flags, and this event is actually tied to what appears to be the campaign for President Bill Clinton when he was actually running for president in 1991. And it's immediately followed up by Bill Clinton talking himself about the system of American renewal, and then we see a clip of Activision Presents and a bunch of kind of overview looks at DC with a bunch of helicopters and spotlights aiming at one area specifically. And this ties into our next clip, which is actually a bunch of police cars driving through downtown DC, and on the side here you can actually see that they're the DC Police Department. But these next kind of 2 seconds of clips are the second most interesting set of clips in the actual trailer itself. There's lots of quick cuts and transitions from a bunch of different kind of classified documents to symbols and logos. So it starts off by showing us a piece of text that says CIA Black Site, then it jumps to the logo for the Advanced Technologies and Securities Division. Now, notably, it also has some text on the screen here when this pops up that says sanctions. Now, it's pretty interesting because why would you have sanctions written on a document that's about the Advanced Technologies and Securities Division? Not sure, but it's gonna help tie into that story for sure. But this next clip is one of the ones I think reveals the most. It's actually a room with what appears to be a bunch of shelves with kind of like clear plastic draped over top of them or some type of sheets. Now, when you actually slow this down, a bunch of things appear on the screen. So starting from the left here, we have a piece of text that says US, and then below it says C-OSPER. Now, to break that down, the C- actually stands for combined. This usually is a symbol when the US military works with another foreign government or another foreign military. So if we were to do a allied mission between the SAS and let's say the Marines, then it would be listed as a C-operation, a combined forces operation. Now, OSPER is pretty interesting because PER can only ever stand for personnel in military slang. It's not going to be abbreviated for anything else. And OS stands for operational support. So what this tells us that C-OSPER stands for Combined Operational Support Personnel. Now, this could be quite literally anyone, but this hints that this is going to be a multinational team working together on an operation. And it's going to be something likely to do with that 1991 mission, because as we see right here in the bottom right corner, it says 1991 and Gulf. Now, this all ties into the mission that we do have confirmed from Call of Duty that's going to be in the campaign, where you work with the SAS as a CIA operative, which will be a combined force, to attack certain SAM sites and other objectives in the first Gulf War. This lines up perfectly considering it's Combined Operational Support Personnel. It could be referring to the CIA or the SAS in this mission, but moving on, we then jump to a clip of a bunch of planes in formation letting loose missiles and targeting some type of Iraqi building or vehicle. We can't really get a clear picture of it, but they are destroying whatever they're shooting at for certain based on the explosion size. And then the next clip we get kind of directly ties into what we just see. We see the kind of back clip of these planes flying off in a different direction in this really destroyed airfield, and then it cuts to a different view of what is likely the same airfield, and we see a bunch of troops kind of huddled around a helicopter as it gets ready to take off. Now, not really clear why this helicopter is taking off and leaving people behind, but it appears that it might have some kind of specialized cargo that it's taking with it. Really, there's not a ton of information on this clip, but it is intriguing to the story, especially because the troops that we see are all wearing gas masks and have no patches on their body. They have no identifiers of who they are, who they're working for, or even if they're good guys or bad guys. So we also see them kind of moving all and kind of converging to one centralized point. Now, they're all kind of moving and aiming at the same point. Not really sure why. But the next clip we get is Russell Adler, and actually shows him putting on some sunglasses. So it's kind of an interesting clip because it's basically implying that Russell Adler is the person that they're all going after, and this helicopter was either picking him up and taking him away as a prisoner or picking up cargo that he was protecting. There's a very high implication of something going on here that we don't necessarily get right off the bat. Now, next is one of the coolest clips in the video, but actually doesn't reveal that much information. It's a bunch of kind of combined forces of the SAS on the right. There's actually a gentleman wearing a boonie hat on the right, which might be a young Captain Price because it lines up with the timing of it perfectly. But anyways, we see some forces and they're all kind of shooting and attacking what appears to be a very large palace. Now, we know in the campaign there's actually an assault on Saddam's palace, and we know that one of the multiplayer maps is Saddam's palace, so this kind of lines up perfectly with what's going on there, but there's not much going on in the clip. It's kind of an interesting and kind of intriguing clip. We then actually jump forward to what appears to be a gala, and in the background we can see Governor Bill Clinton. Now, Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas up until the time that he became president. So now, this next clip adds a lot of intrigue to the story because it shows Marshall, one of our new main characters, walking into a CIA black site. Now, the black site is actually called Midnight Branch. Interesting name for kind of what's going on, but around the entire room, everyone is dead. Everyone has been shot and killed. There's definitely signs of a struggle and explosions. There was some conflict that went on, and it kind of builds that suspense in the story of like, what's going on, and then who is killing CIA people in a CIA black site, and what is Midnight Branch? What's the story behind that? We then see your team actually using ascenders to get up elevator cables, and then an explosion happens, and Adler falls, but you catch him by his hand, you pull him up, and you try to continue up the elevator shaft. Now this next scene is pretty interesting because it has a bunch of people in suits and tuxedos and kind of dresses and really fancy, and you would assume that's part of the gala event, but it's not. It's actually a whole separate mission. This sees Marshall and one of the new guys stepping out of this elevator. There's a body in the background, and then it jumps cuts to them blowing up a vault door to kind of break into it. Now, this is very intriguing because why are you attacking a vault? Why are you at a casino to blow up said vault and get whatever's inside? And what is so important inside this vault that you would openly assault a well-populated, well-guarded area in the middle of what is apparently a European wealthy district? Now, one of the things that's interesting in this trailer clip that we actually see is that apparently you strap C4 to a cart and then you roll it at whoever's defending this vault as you try to escape and then blow up the cart. Now, if this is a new gameplay feature that could be used, I'm excited about it, but if not, this would still be a cool clip in the game because you're rolling explosives at somebody and then detonating it in their face. Now, these next few seconds will have to be slowed down dramatically while I talk about it. So first off, we zoom into what appears to be the inside of a vault, and we see Saddam's treasures, and we see a painting of Saddam. You then zoom into Saddam's eye, which reveals a building actually being assaulted and people defending it. There's a door open in the front, with a red door specifically, with some type of thing inside, but notably, this building itself is what appears to be the safe house that Call of Duty has told us so much about. So at some point in the campaign, there's an assault on your safe house, but this is only a brief quarter-second flash that actually happens. The next thing that happens is you actually zoom in as you go through the red door, which is very symbolic in Cold War for kind of that mind-erasing program, as you zoom into a room with some type of large central object here. It has portholes in it. On the left side, you have computer screens, and you have 3 cameras set up here to actually look in through these portholes. And then it jumps to a very interesting clip. You enter what appears to be an interrogation room, and Russell Adler is holding someone at gunpoint in this interrogation room as someone walking up to him is kind of basically trying to tell him, like, hey, You don't need to do this. I'm on your side. I'm trying to help you. And then we kind of jump cut to a confirmation that each of these people in the room is Russell Adler, and the other person walking over to him is Marshall, that new character that we talked about. We then cut to the man, the myth, the legend of Call of Duty, Frank Woods, in a wheelchair, and interestingly, on the side of his wheelchair appears to be what's like a sticker of a hound or something. Might be a hint at something comes along the lines, but it is 100% Frank Woods, and he is bound in a wheelchair. Now, this happened in Black Ops 2. He got kneecapped by Raul Menendez, but moving on, there's a lot more that comes in this video right here. So he tells us there's something you should see, and then we kind of look at this big screen that has something playing in the background. Now, whatever's being presented is not actually shown. It's kind of a gray screen with some type of like date in the bottom right, and then we jump to a bunch of series of quick flashes. First off, we get a light that's bright red right in the middle of your screen, and right below it, it says biotech. It's pretty interesting, but the next thing we jump to is a mannequin choking you and picking you up off the ground. Now, notably, if you look behind the mannequin, we see that Advanced Technologies and Securities logo again on the wall here, so it appears that this is some type of branch within the CIA or the government. And then we jump to what appears to be a stack of classified documents. On the left side here, we see that C. Osper one more time. On next to it, we see that it says Sanction. Now, in the middle here is a biohazard logo, and the biohazard logo is actually melting as we zoom in on it more and more. And then we see some type of like bomb contraption. We see a large room with a single cylinder in the middle with a bunch of kind of like lights around it, and then we see a grappling hook that's apparently mounted to your wrist. All add some level of intrigue to what's going on here. Then we jump to a clip of a guy in what appears to be a clear glass cage, and he's banging and banging and banging on the window, and this other dude's kind of standing there just talking real casually. So he's either a prisoner or he's a test subject. Now, this kind of ties into biohazard, tech, biotech company, dude locked in a glass chamber with no way out, and someone in what appears to be a very kind of lab standard uniform standing there talking casually about whatever they're doing. But interestingly, you get a quick 1 to 2 second flash of you, whoever your character is, getting absolutely rocked by some dude swinging a punch. It appears to be some type of interrogation scene. Not a lot of information on this, but it is pretty cool nonetheless. Now, our next little scene is not necessarily really intriguing or anything, but it is in fact Marshall talking on the phone in a phone booth saying, "Don't trust anyone." And as he wipes away the window, he sees that Russell Adler is standing outside the window, but neither of them seem too hectic or bothered by the other person, hinting that they might be working together. We then jump to a juggernaut stepping out of an elevator, and this dude is pretty well armored. He has a minigun, and he has this kind of red like triangle logo on him. This might be that Crimson 1 group that we told is a multiplayer faction. It might hint that they're part of the story somehow. But moving on, what is definitely, in my opinion, the coolest part of this trailer right here is you see a helicopter flying over some type of Arctic region. Now, from what we know, Call of Duty told us at the showcase event that there is a mission in a frozen tundra in northern Russia. Well, when you actually cut to this next clip right here of the guy on the minigun firing into this frozen facility, now the question is, does it look familiar? Well, it should look familiar because this is almost an exact recreation of Vorkuta from Black Ops 1. The Vorkuta was the prison where Alex Mason was held, and this seems to be a recreation of that exact same map, and interestingly, we can kind of see some of the same things in the background of these destroyed pipes and different things that happened in the original Black Ops 1 mission that line up with what we're seeing on screen when we actually view this helicopter here. It's very intriguing. I'm sure it's going to have some type of story tie-in if this is in fact Vorkuta. I think it is because it looks almost exactly the same, but tell me in the comments down below, is it Vorkuta or not? And then moving on here, we get a couple of clips that happen pretty fast. So the first clip we get is Marshall running down a hallway with his gun up, and then we jump to you, whoever you're playing as in the game, firing your gun at a helicopter that's riding alongside of you and shooting at the driver specifically. We then cut to that same helicopter. It appears crashing into the side of a building and getting completely destroyed, hinting that you might have succeeded in shooting out the driver of this helicopter. But anyways, we then get a clip of our character Marshall showing off this new Omni movement system that Call of Duty is developing, and it kind of shows him sliding and turning around in midair and shooting the guy who's following him on top of this train, which make sure you subscribe because I'm gonna do a whole video talking about Omni movement here in the next couple days. But we then cut back to that same building from DC that we saw earlier on in the trailer, and it appears a bunch of police cars are outside, and when you actually look at what's kind of going on, you see Russell Adler starts a bike, he drives through this kind of police barricade and jumps over the cars themselves, starting a big high-speed chase. Now, when you actually pause it right here and look, there's an armored car right in front of him, and who is in that armored car? Well, it appears that the person in the armored car is Park from Black Ops Cold War. Now, there's a little bit more confirmation that comes later on here, but then we cut back to this chase, and there's a bunch of cars kind of flipping over each other and crashing as they're trying to get after Adler and whoever else is on the motorcycles. And then we kind of cut to the very ending scenes of this video. We see a helicopter kind of hanging you on a rope, running into a crane. You pull out your knife real quickly, you cut yourself off the crane, you land on the roof, and you start taking off running as the roof starts to collapse. And then you just absolutely launch yourself towards this helicopter in front of you, hoping that they're going to catch you. The guy who reached out to catch you is in fact Marshall, but the person on the left here appears to be Park once again. Now, I'm pretty sure this is Park, not the new character that we've been told about, because Park had a kind of longer hairstyle, black hair, and we know for a fact that she's one of the operators that you get for the multiplayer pre-order bonus is in fact Park in a specialized outfit, hinting that Park is still alive, and she might be the person that we're seeing here in the video. I don't think it's the other female character. I'm pretty sure this is Park when you look at kind of how they're dressed and how similar she is to the Cold War Park. But then the video ends with kind of an interesting piece right here. We see the Black Ops 6 logo, and then immediately after the Black Ops 6 logo ends, we see President Bush saying, "May the God continue to bless the United States," and on top of him we see some type of logo. It is either the seal of the President of the United States or it is the Pantheon logo. But whatever it is, the middle of it that's actually on top of President Bush's face is missing, hinting that there might be something going on with this Pantheon group at even the highest levels of government. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens, but in the last couple of weeks, Call of Duty's really been trying to convince us that Russell Adler is this mole that we're hunting in the CIA. He's the villain of Black Ops Cold War, and he's kind of like the bad guy. And this trailer kind of helps show that he might not be the bad guy because you work with him in multiple missions. You save him in an elevator shaft. You see him breaking out of some type of event riding on a motorcycle. So the question becomes, is Adler a mole in Black Ops 6, or is he a hero in Black Ops 6? Now, if you want to dive into this information further, then click on this video right here that I made where I actually talk about Adler's role in the Black Ops 6 story. And make sure you subscribe down below because I am IceBurgz, your Call of Duty informant. Stay frosty.